Feel free to start, Valerie.
Okay, so you're recording already. Well, very nice. Welcome to this short presentation of what's new in the release of this year, the second release that we made. I'd like to just for you to know, just to remind you of the new minimum requirements that are necessary to install SpiceCRM in this version. Then have a short overview about the workflow designer, which is new. So the workflows as such are already implemented, but there is now a graphical interface. So I'd like to show you shortly how it looks like. Then give you some information about the Microsoft Graph integration and what it can do in this version, and then what is planned. And then talk about the new domain and dictionary manager. That's something I think you saw in the previous version. Some of you know there is an interface, but it wasn't to be used. So I'd like to give you the new information about this development. I think I will go through. So we have 4 topics, and after which topic I will just give you the opportunity to ask questions, so that we don't mix up the topics during the webinar. So minimum requirements. So now PHP 7.4 is necessary. So it was 7.2, so now we moved up. And you need to install the mail parse extension for PHP. That's it has to do with email integration and drag and drop emails, and we decided to use this extension, so it's not part of the requirements. Then, for you to know, we removed some folders, so config sites and proxy were removed. So don't panic after a new installation if you don't see them. They're no longer required. That's why we removed them. Then in the login screen, you used to have, the select language drop down, so it's no longer there. So after first login, then the language is, you set up a default language, and then the user can change the language anyway. So it's no longer necessary to have it in the login screen. And less information about new things that are important is we made an update of the instance that we have where we store the configuration for release versions. And that's the new URL that you have to call. So if you have some instances linked to the SpiceCRM release reference instance, then you'll have to, always happens with the mouse. You'll have to move to this link. So the link is in there. You will get this presentation then afterwards, so you don't need to write down. I know some of you already have changed the link. Now for the others, I think it's good for you to know about the new location. Okay, that's it on minimum requirements. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Where is the config sites data now? Is it in database?
What do you mean? Which config file?
The sites one. Yeah.
The system knows automatically where the front end is and where the backend is, because since we now have the all-in-one application, and we've made some changes that during installation the system knows. Because in that folder you used to have a JSON file telling the front end where to find the back end. But we know where to find the back end because it's under the folder API.
Okay,
So it was no longer necessary.
I see. Thanks.
Okay, then let's move on to the next topic, to the workflow manager, workflow designer, with the new graphical interface. So I will stop the presentation here and move to a SpiceCRM. So it's still to be found. That didn't change from the workbench. And you go to the workflow manager. I will just show for now, this is a module for which we have turned on the workflow capability, just for you to see how it looks like. So what we're talking about when we say it's now there is a graphical interface allowing us to display workflow, where it starts, what is done. So for those who already know the feature, you can say it start. There is some condition that the workflow starts, that someone has to make a decision, and depending on that decision, that things are done, and then there is a condition when the workflow ends. The default display is using the graphical interface. You can theoretically go back to the older, the older way to see things. So by pushing this button here, and then here you recognize, there was the start, and then all the information that you select for each, let's say, decision or task or whatever you plan to do in your workflow. I move back to the graphical interface. So, and basically you can use the mouse and keyboard. So for example, if I say I'd like to add here to send an email after an approval, then you just add the icon. So with the mouse over, hope it's displayed on your screens. You see what type of action is it, and then you can select, and using this key then write the title and make the other definitions. So like I'd like to send an email. I have a template for approval, and see who gets the email and so on. So you can design here, enter all the information, and then link things together. And maybe here again, if I say from here, and then it ends. So you can play around. And what you can also do is, with double click, is then describe what it is about, so that you have a visual documentation already that you can use for more complex workflows. And then save in the end, that's an important click. So that's basically how it looks like for all the details. So what's a decision, what's a task, what's an email, we already have in the Knowledge Factory, in the part about workflows. So they were here. That was the old way to define things, but you have the description and some steps, so you can recognize what it was. And we have we made a video about a simple workflow. It's on YouTube, so you can click it from here. We'll give you also the link in the documentation of today's webinar, so that you can have a look at it. And in there you have all the steps from how to turn on the workflow capability for a specific module. So in this example, it's about opportunities, and then go step by step how to design your workflow. It's a simple one, but I think it's a good example to get to know the interface and work with workflows. So that's, you just saw a little bit about the graphical interface. For you to know, if you move to that version of SpiceCRM, if you already have workflows in use in an older application, then you will have to redesign them, because in the background we had some structure changes, and we couldn't migrate old-fashioned made workflows to the new designer. So that's something you should know. If you already have a project and you make an upgrade, if you have workflows, then you will have to redesign them. So, and here that's the link to the video that we have in here. Any questions about Workflow Designer?
Yes, Valerie. So if we want to add a new module to the Workflow Designer, we need to put some special things, right? What?
Yes, what you need to do is tell the module. So,
Okay, the modules.
Well, let's say you would have to customize, because here modules, that's the list of all the modules that are in SpiceCRM. And if you say, I'd like to add something for, let me check first for which modules. So I have workflows here. Okay, opportunity. Okay, so let's say if I need some workflow about accounts, then
I saw the checkbox, right? So we need to.
Yes, then I would have to customize, because in that case it's a customization. It's not checked per default in SpiceCRM. So I would say, well, then I need to customize for accounts.
Okay.
Here, basically, you would copy paste what you have from the other view, from modules, or you just know everything because you're a developer and you know the names, and you check in here. So I think accounts, but you also have, to redo the line. Because it should be visible. I think favorites are on, and track, I'm not sure. But then you check that box, and then accounts is now available.
Okay.
I probably need to reload configuration, and then we'll see in the workflows.
And we do this every time. We do this in custom modules, right? On custom modules section.
Yes, because it's, you are customizing.
Okay.
So if it's your custom module, of course, it's in the same section. It's a custom module, but and you just do it once.
Okay.
You just do it once, because it's not for each workflow that you need to do that. It's just once, just to enable the workflow capability.
Okay. Thank you, Valerie.
Good. Then we'll move to the next topic, the Microsoft Graph integration. So it's about, calendar and events and contacts to be synchronized with Office 365 or with Exchange Online. So just to have a short recap, we have already for Exchange using the web service API. of Microsoft. That's for all the Exchange versions. And for the new one, using Exchange Online, or for Office 365, we now integrated the Microsoft Graph API. And in the version that we just published, we call it beta version because it hasn't been tested very, not that much. We have just, the API is integrated. We know how to configure all the things, and we made some tests, and it was nice, but it will be tested a little more. For you to know, it's a two-way synchronization between SpiceCRM and then the 365 account of the user. So, and it's about calls and meetings, so for all what's in the calendar, and also contacts for the address book. We already made a short video about this. I wanted to show it today, but my colleague changed the password on our test instance, so and he's not in today. So there is only a video. That's just, you also have the link in the documentation of this webinar. And just for you to see, I hope you can recognize on the left-hand side, that's SpiceCRM. On the right-hand side, that's my Outlook calendar. And basically in Spice, you can see, so the yellow box is a call. It's the same color as in here. So I just have a call that's yellow, and I created it in Spice, and it was synchronized on the other side. In the video, you'll see that I make a change in here, and the change goes back to SpiceCRM. And the nice thing that we have here in the calendar is everything that is in red here are events that were created in my Outlook calendar, but that are not a call or a meeting. So that I can see what do I have as meetings in Outlook. And here, if I have an appointment to the dentist, then I can see it, and I will not plan any other meeting in the CRM at that time because I'm not available. So that's presented in this short video. As I said, you will get the link so you can have a look at it. And yeah, and then maybe try it out. We have in the Knowledge Factory, because it's not that easy, the whole thing. We have in the Knowledge Factory and the group where we have a chapter about Microsoft Graph services. And in order to make it work, you have to do some settings in Microsoft Azure. And we have here the whole description with some screenshots, because you need a client ID, so you need some credentials that you can enter them in the workbench. And you also need some permissions. And that's where it may become a little difficult if you're not used to handle the interface in Microsoft. So we have here a list of all the permissions that need to be set so that this synchronization can work with SpiceCRM. So that's in here for you to use. It's already released. So you have if you have your credentials for the Knowledge Factory, then you have access. So what we have in plan already is that we also synchronize the tasks. It was a little more difficult, but it is, let's say, latest developments, or it is working. And I think we are looking for some help about, for the testing. So maybe if any of you is interested in testing the newest developments about the integration, then my colleague in charge of the development. So I think we'll be glad to have some support. Any questions about the Microsoft Graph integration?
Yes, I do have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you said you're making synchronization between the two systems, and you're doing the meetings, calls, contacts information. What about events? Are you storing them into Spice, or you're just showing them?
They are stored. So what you call an event, let's say event, is the term used when you are in Microsoft, because Microsoft makes no difference between calls and meetings. So for Microsoft, it's an event. Everything that is in a calendar is an event. In the CRM, we make the difference between a call and a meeting. And when we send them, then we send them as an event.
Okay, but can you transform the event to a meeting or call into Spice when you're already?
Yes, yes, you have a special click. Let's see in the video. Sure. Don't know the timeline, but let's say if that, that red one, that's your example. It's in my Outlook, but it's not in the CRM. I just make it visible here. And then I have a click when I go on the arrow here, asking me, do you want to make it a CRM record? And then you choose between it's a call or it's a meeting. It's, I show it in the video. Don't remember where exactly. Okay, that's on the other. Last example. I think it's the last thing I show. Not sure, but it's in the video. So how to make an event that I have in Outlook, how to make it a record in the CRM. And we use that view. So you remain in the CRM, you spot your event because it's in red, and then you have a special click here using the arrow to create the CRM entry. Oh, that's here. See, so I entered first a record here, then I can see it in the CRM, and then I have a click Save to CRM. And when you click that, then you have the question. When you click, what shall it be? A call, a meeting, or a task? And then you select, and then it's okay. And that one I said a meeting. Maybe I did some information, saving. And now it's a CRM record too. So if I make any further changes here, then they will be sent to Outlook. Does that answer your question?
Yes, but I was like more, you're getting the events, but I mean, you're storing the events in this specific module, or it's just showing?
Red, it's just showing, yes. And the others are stored as in the database in the CRM.
Yeah, that was my question. Thank you.
Okay. Good. Then
Valerie, I have a question.
Please.
Can you just speak a bit about the Outlook plugin and if it works with the integration independently of the MS Graph, or is it something that we should be using?
I wouldn't use the Outlook plugin. So the Outlook plugin would be, if it is loaded, would appear in Outlook. For those who do not know about it, it is meant to make it possible to go from an event that I have, or let's say the example of an event, and then create the meeting in the CRM, having the plugin open on the right-hand side, where you then select, is it a meeting or is it a call? And then you can add some information too if you want. It was.
You're referring to the add-in, right? The Outlook
Yes.
add-in.
Yes,
That's only for the like a local like a native application, not the web Outlook, right?
That's also for the web, but
okay.
Yeah. What were you talking about, the add-in or about something else?
The add-in, yeah.
Yes. So the add-in is not very convenient to use. So I'm not. I prefer to say, if you have Microsoft Graph, then you can see your calendar. You recognize the entries that are not a CRM record because they are displayed in red, and use the click from there, direct from the CRM, to create a meeting or a call or whatsoever.
But what about
much easier.
What about other like creating a lead, for instance? You've got an email come in, you want to create a lead. Those are kind of future features that would be coming.
So if you get an email and you create a lead, then you would probably, you mean you want to create it manually, not automatically, that you
That's
read
right,
them.
yeah. Email comes in, they're not in the system, so you want to create.
So you have a mailbox, and you read it, and you create a lead directly in the CRM.
Okay.
So that you can read a mailbox and do anything with it. That's already included in SpiceCRM. That you say, I create a lead, or I create a ticket. That would be that's the mailbox.
From the mailbox in Spice. Okay.
From the mailbox where you create. Not sure what we have here for examples, but that would be a mailbox where we say it's just an inbound mailbox, where you can then define how you connect to it. And there is then somewhere, okay, I think first you have to define what kind of transport it is. So it could also be using, it's not loaded in this instance, but you could also use a mailbox, a 365 mailbox. Let's say I have another one where you connect and then define a function that will handle the incoming email and do something with it.
Okay.
Good. So, and one of the newest things in this new version of SpiceCRM is the domain and dictionary manager. So let's go. So these are the two new clicks. So they were already here. The interface has been here already. Now it is in place. What do we mean by dictionary and domain manager? For those who are developing, you know that, let's say, when you have the modules, you have all the modules here, and you have these files, vardevs.php, or you have these metadata files, and in there you also have like table definitions, field definitions, relationship definitions. Everything is stored in files. And our goal is to store all this information in the database. So what we've done for now, so if you look here at dictionary, it would be the list that is already present in the CRM. When you open, go to account so that we have the same example. So this is the vardevs.php for account. And the variable is called dictionary with the name account. So what you see here is the definition here. So that would be, we define the dictionaries with their name, and we add variables, variable definitions. So for now, what you see here are the minimum definitions needed so that we can have entries in the database and entries and still read the old versions, because we need to move this. So by the end of the year, the Vardev's PHP here should disappear. That's our goal, that it disappears. So, and how it works. So you have dictionaries and you have the items. So and each item needs a specific type, and that's what we call a domain. So the domain manager will define the kind of variables that you have in the system. So if I say, for example, the one we just saw, it's a good. So it's a char with a length 36. So it's an abstract definition of what you want to use in your dictionary. So of course you can add your own, because that's the ones that we have. And you can create your own definitions if there isn't any here that will suit your purpose. So the dictionaries, you don't need to work with that interface for now. You can, if you want to test and try out adding variables. So if I say I'd like to add a custom variable to my account, then I would add it. And I would say, I don't know, this is an account, then look up for what kind of variable is it. Okay, that's a Boolean. I select it. It's a custom variable. Here you could write some comment so that you know what it is about. And then you save it. So if you click on it, you see below the information you just entered. And you can add a label. If there is any, or you have to create a new one. We don't have any. Then you'll create the label. That's something you know from the field set manager. So that's the way we work. And you need to activate it. So when you activate, then and you save, when you do your repair database, it lasts a little longer, because now when we are repairing, we are going through all the files that are existing, and then we merge with the content that is stored in the database. And now it should recognize that there is a new field to be created on accounts. Okay, I already have another one here, but that's the one I created. So I can select it and execute. And now I have the new field in my database. And it's also available for the field sets that I need to configure for the display. So what's for you important in this version? So when you move to this release, you will have to create, when you have enum fields, so the ones with the drop down and where you can make some selection, they need to be created using the domain manager and the dictionary manager. So the enum fields are now, it's a domain, it's like a variable type. So if we look at ABC category, okay, that's the definition for the database. And here they have what we call a validation. So the field is not appearing. Where is my value label? The value is not appearing here. Do I have any custom thing? No. Let's move to the other one. Let's do it smaller. The interface is not so nice to use for now. And here we should see the value, so maybe move the system. Just changing the instance where I know that we can see the values, because that's the important thing to see. So that's the updated view. So you can see the value here. So that's the value that it's stored in the database. Then now you select the label. So the way it used to be, it was like this when you had, for those domes, they were defined in a language file. That was the old way. You kept the file just, as a reminder. So that was, the value that you store in the database, and then you had the translation. And you needed, for each language that you have in use, you needed a file. So now, what you need, you have your domain, then that information for the database, and then the validation with a name again, then the values, and then which label you want to have for the translation. So you just need to define it once. So if you have 3 languages, you will define it once and use labels for the display. So you will have maybe to create some labels and to translate them, but you won't have to redefine again the full list of possible values. So that's one of the big changes. And once you have defined your list, then you can go to the dictionary manager and add your field. See, that one I already customized it, so I probably have defined already a custom list for that field. But then you could write your own field. If you had or list, and then select the proper domain, the one you've created. So I haven't created any, just using an existing one, and then save. And that's the way you would define a field with its own list. So, and it's now necessary. So when you use this version, then for any enum field, you will have to proceed that way. For all other variables, it's not necessary to use the dictionary manager. You may. It's not quite finished. So for example, regarding relationships, how to create a relationship, we will make some changes. So if it's a small project, yes, it's possible to use. Else, I would just use the new items using a domain where you need your own list, and continue to define extended variables under custom extension, just as you have been doing for now. I think it's better. So when you have an older project and you migrate to this version, and you have, like I do in this project, if I go there and I have 2 languages, so it's a project with 2 languages, and I have some, it's not about 3 definitions, but I have more. Like in this file, I already have all that stuff. So yes, I could do it manually. What we've done to avoid or try to have a little less work is when you migrate from make the update and you want to migrate all these DOM definitions, then we added a click here and the repair database that will create the entries for domain and dictionary. So in that particular project that I have, let me show you. I already clicked the button and I had then some results. So for all this dictionary stuff, we have some tables. So I prepared a description of all the tables. I will make them available in the Knowledge Factory so that you can have a look and have an understanding of how tables work together. On this project, so I created. So this is all the definitions that I have, all the lists. So as you can see, I had 33. Then I have all the values that are here. Some labels were created automatically. They have that specific name. So these are also all of the type domains. So and using what you already have, what is it? What kind of field type is it? So it's everything read from what you have in the files, and then the entries are created. So I created all these domains with the name of for the validation lists, and then all the values. So, and yes, so they are here. Going back to that project, it's not this one. It's that one. So you can use the click. Of course, it will create the entries, but then you should check on the values that everything is okay. That's the wrong. It's not the right one. I go to domain, so you should see that one, that's a custom one. You see there is a different icon when it's a custom entry. And the list, okay, it has only one entry, but I'm that way I can check all the stuff. So here there are values, it's just because of the view. I need to make it smaller so that I can see the entries. But yeah, check the content just to make sure. That one looks a little strange to me, for example. So there is a conversion tool, but check the content afterwards. So, and let me see if I have the thing, and that I did some automation also to create the entry, the custom entry in the dictionary manager, so that you link your domain to the custom field that you have. Let me see how they're called. From that one should be not a good example. Service ticket. So I'm missing service ticket dictionary here. So I need to migrate a little more, as I have done. The point is, in the end, you should have an entry, a field where you select the custom domain. That you have then in here. So I hope you are all confused now with those new developments. The important thing is, when you use that version, when you need to make custom enum fields, you have to make them using creating a domain first, then with the validation and all the entries, and then add the field in the dictionary manager. That's for enum fields only, something that you need to do. For any other fields, then you can still work the old-fashioned way. That was the message about this dictionary manager. We'll try to redo, some video so that you can have like a tutorial to and go step by step and try out. It's not published yet, but we will put some information in the internet so that you can have a look. Any questions, if you're not too confused?
Yes, I have some questions about that. Okay, you said you have to create, for example, for the enum type fields, you have to create it in the domain and in the dictionary.
Yes. The domain will be, that's your, let's create one. So maybe you need a new list. I think I had this VIP type that I wanted to do on my account, for example. So I say it's for VIP type. That will be an enum list. So nice. I save the new domain. Then I say, so that's just a name here, just a name, and that's a type, enum type. The next step is I need to tell what is it for the database. So what you see here, that's an abstract definition for the future name in the dictionary. So it means when I use this domain in a dictionary, the name of the field will be the name that I choose to set in the dictionary item. So let's say that part, just leave it as it is. That's right, what is here. So what is it for my database? Let's say, okay, it's a varchar and it will be, I don't know, maybe max 16 characters long. So the rendering type, it's more like a front-end thing, but it's, let's say it's an enum. You know, for enums, you have, you know, there are like some differences. So that's why we have for the display, you can select. Sometimes it's the same name, sometimes as you have chosen first, or it's another one, but keep that one. So when you say, so you have your domain name and you have the definition for the database. And now what you need to do is create the list of possible values. And that's where you do it. So you have to switch here to validation. Then you add a list. So what I do is I name it as the domain and I add underscore DOM. It reminds me of the old-fashioned way to write things. Here the type only enum is implemented. So I select enum. You could add a comment. I add. So now my list has a name. And now I can add the values that are possible in the list. So let's say VIP type. Let's say we have industry. So that's a string. We are in custom scope. Which label? What shall appear? I think there is a label industry somewhere. And I add what's the next possible value. Right, and so on. Here again, you'll need to activate so you can prepare your list. And maybe there is an entry you're not sure will it be necessary or not. So you leave it yellow, you activate the other one. So if it remains yellow here, then it won't be displayed. If it's green, it will be displayed. So if I use both and I activate everything, so I activate here, and I save, then I've saved my domain definition. Is it done with saving? Hope so. So, and then I add the field. It says for accounts. So I want a drop down for accounts using the list I just created. Then I create, now it's the field. So now it's the field that I create for the dictionary using the domain I just created. So and it's already here. So now I can add a label and create it. We created anything. Then I create one. Just, yeah. German. Default language, that's why I have German first. Okay. Activate the item. Done. Then I'll do my repair database. That's where you need to be patient. I hope we will improve the performance once everything is stored in the database. So that's here. Now I have the field in the database. The cache is repaired. Also an important information, the cache now is no longer under API cache. So that's here because it's an older project, but that's the modules folder no longer exists. The information is now cached in the dictionary fields table. So that's in here. So here you have for each field that is defined, you have, to which dictionary does it belong to which table, which definition, what's the name, what's the type, and then you have here a JSON string with the full definition with the same structure as in old-fashioned var defs definitions. So let's take here. So like this. So you have name, type, vname, all these properties. You'll find them back in the JSON string. So when you repair the database, then there is also the cache is repaired. So now my field should be available. I want to display it somewhere. Maybe I need to log out to reload first. Configuration. So let's move and go back. Need to log out. Or it didn't update the cache. Yes, it did. Okay. It's not quite up to date. Let's see. Let's put it in there. So the IP type. So now it's in the, should be in the detail view. So, and that's the, sorry, the results. So I have my enum field and I can select a value. So that's the way you'll have to proceed for drop-down fields from now on. Since I'm losing my voice, any other questions?
So basically, you're saying that in the domain we are creating the fields type that will be required for the specific module that we're going to be using. And there we are also creating the lists for the drop-downs, I mean, for the enum type fields. And we can use them in different modules in the dictionary.
Yes.
Also, I noticed that in the dictionary, you mentioned that there's some metadata. The metadata, is it required for us to be created, or it's because of the old version of the system? For example, if we migrate from sugar.
So when you create a dictionary, okay, so for now, so when you create a dictionary, you can say, what kind of dictionary is it? Is it for a module? Is it just metadata like for a join table? When you have a many-to-many relationship between two modules, then you need to create the join table, so that would be metadata. Or is it a template, like we have here as definitions? Like the default dictionary containing the classic variables that we have, like ID, name, date, entered, modified, and so on. So that when you create a dictionary for a custom module, you can say, I create my dictionary.
Okay, is that the name of the bin, or it's
That's the name of the bin for a dictionary? That's a good question. That's the name of the bin here, because we need to make a match with the old-fashioned way, so that we can still have variables defined the old-fashioned way. So that's the bin name. Then you have your table name. You say it's a module. Nice. So you have your module. And here, so I have no fields for now. Then I can say, I'd like to use a template. So here the word domain, just saying it's not the right translation, that should be dictionary here. And I select the default dictionary. So and I would have, if I go to the fields list, I see all the fields. So here in the items, I see I am using a template, another dictionary. And here are all the fields that will be created. And then I can add further fields or use a second dictionary, like also you have the assignable, creating the assigned user ID. So here we will probably have some changes too, but for now it's those two fields are created. So and here under indexes, that would be to create the indexes for the table. And you say, okay, for that table, I have the primary key, the primary, and that's on the ID field. So, and if you activate everything, then you have your dictionary. When you create a custom module, then using the dictionary manager, the thing that you'll need to do is then, because you have your custom module, so you need an entry under custom modules. So here, nothing has changed. And what you don't see here, you now should link to the dictionary that we've just defined. And for now, we don't have the field here. So that's something that you will have to do in the database if you are using the dictionary manager when you create new dictionaries. So I would have to check on my dictionary definition and copy the ID and then move to the custom module and enter there is a field and do it this way. That's a manual procedure for now, but of course we will adapt the interface so that you can do it using the interface and so that you don't have to go into the database. Did I answer your question?
Yes, I presume after you do the quick repair and actually create a new table in the database,
Yes.
it should create everything in the interface as well. But my question is because I tested this functionality and probably did some mistakes and missed that step that you just showed. I couldn't find the basic relationships to the users, for example, for modified by or created by. Is it related because I didn't attach that to the domain? I mean, the new module. Or we have to create the relationship between the modules manually?
Yes, for now, yes. But let's say you can create. So if I go there and I say I'd like to create a relationship to the new module that I have created, I would need to create. So if I say I want to link, account, that in my new module I can have an account ID. For now, if you use the interface, you'll have to create the field for account ID. That's good. Okay. And you activate and you do the repair rebuild so that it's created in this table. And then if I say, so it's a one-to-many from the account to that module, you can do it from account relationships. And then you say it's a one-to-many. I want to link to this new module. And then you have here automatically. So, the left side, one account can be used in multiple test records. Here you have to select the account ID. That's the field on the VM test module side. Here it's automatically, you have the list of the fields of the module. So I think that the default one is ID. Then you have automatically names that are suggested for the link name on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side. Then you can also add a label. The label is important for the K reporter. So I don't have any here. I could create one. I will just select this one. And here also select the account. Then you have here a suggestion for the relate name. And you will get automatically, because when you select the relate name right now, you need to tell about which ID shall I consider. So that's where is the value of the account from that side. That's the ID name property. So that's this one. And you also have the real name. What should I show from the other side? And for now, it's just based on name. So this is where the definitions for relationships are a little restricted for now, because there is no other choice than having the real name, the name field of the other module. And here that would be to select the label for account name. So in that case, I would still select the same account. So this is the way for now to define the relationships. We will do modifications so that you have a flexibility concerning the real name, because it could be multiple fields also. So for small projects using the name field as real name from the other module, then it works fine. But if you need something else, it won't do for now.
Okay, I see a few people have dropped off now because it's
Mhm.
over an hour. Are there any more questions, or can I stop recording?
I would like to ask a question if we have some more time.
Yes.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah. So since we're trying to migrate the var devs to the database, but they're still both in existence. I mean, the var devs in the database as entries and as a files in the extension modules. My question is, when we create a new fields through the interface, would it still create a file definition in the custom modules extensions? And is it possible to have overlapping both a database entry and an extension
Mhm.
file?
Yes. So when you create a custom field here, it is not created in files. So when you use the interface, you have no, I need to open an old project. So there is no these fields like here. So when you create using the interface, you create a custom variable, it will not be sent to that file.
Mhm.
It remains in the database, but you have the overlapping. So the logic is when now you do repair and rebuild, the logic is there is a check under all the core modules. So located here and located in folder extensions that I don't have here because it's an old version. But so all the core modules are checked about var devs. Then all the custom extensions are checked. Do I have custom extension modules, maybe accounts? Do I have definitions here? Then I use them. And then do I have definitions in the database? If you have the same name, let's select this field. If you just redefine it using the dictionary manager, then the definition of the dictionary manager will prevail. It will not be merged, it will be replaced. So if in the dictionary manager, for example, you have like required false, then this variable will be required false.
I see. So the database is the source of truth, let's say. And
In the end, the database decides, yes.
yeah, okay. But so there is a chance that we could try to make definitions in the extensions, but since there is a definition in the database, it will be ignored.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good thing to know.
Mm-hmm. That's why for now, I really wouldn't, if you have, because you have already projects with many custom variables, so I would leave them as they are, except the enum fields, because they have to move to the database, but the rest I would keep doing the same thing, because it's a place less to check then, because then you have a mix of definitions. One are
Yeah.
first, the next
See.
are in the database, and it's for bigger projects it becomes a little more complex to find out where is the definition.
Yep, totally agreeing with you on this one.
So that's our recommendation. You know, as I said, for small projects, then it works fine. It's okay. For completely new projects, you can work with the dictionary manager to some extent, because there are some restrictions. But for projects that you already have, I would just migrate the enum fields, and that's it.
Okay, thanks.
And I have one more question about repositories. How can we get those changes from the database? We can use change request. Does it still work, or how can we share the those data.
You mean when I configure?
When I would like to, we work on the repository, right? We have a main branch and we have some features. So when we'd like to take those data, because usually we take it from the vardes, right? And we make a merge to the develop, and that's how they appear. So
Yes.
how it's possible to take this data from the database?
Yes, it will indeed work with change requests. So this is being developed, and you're already tapping into the future.
Okay.
It's being developed that you create a change request, you activate it, and then anything you write in the database is protocoled, and then you can make an export of those changes and deploy them somewhere else.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I think we should close this off now. Valerie, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, just, the future. So the full support for Dictionary Manager, I already mentioned it. We just mentioned, about deployment and more helping tools while developing and implementing for customers, and the marketing automation, which is linked directly to the workflow capabilities of the system. These are the plans, let's say, the bigger features for the next release.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I'll be sending the video of this call to each and every one of you. Please don't hesitate to transfer the video to other people within your company that have not managed to participate. And look forward to talking to you soon.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.